And that appears to be working. Welcome to episode 125 at Mighty White's podcast. I'm absolutely bricking it. I don't know about you, Casey.
No, you know what? I think I've still got the residuals of last season of just being like, we're in the Premier League now. If we don't win tomorrow, we'll win another game. That'd be fine.
Yeah, especially because we didn't go, you didn't get used to it.
Yeah. So I don't know if the case, like, as we're getting on the bus, I'll just turn to look at you like, shit, son.
Yeah, well, we'll get on to the game. This podcast will be quite brief. Obviously, we did as pre-season predictions a couple of days ago. That covered most of the stuff that we need to talk about, really. And then even the ones that we didn't do, we did on Stand Your Ground last night. So we've pretty much covered all of that. But there has been a couple of bits of news. One of them doesn't actually class as news, really. But Marcelo Bielsa has signed a one-year deal to manage Leeds United. We knew that 8 months ago, probably. It's just nice to have it officially confirmed.
Yeah, I'd love to see what Marcelo Bielsa's to-do list is, because everything seems to get put ahead of sign the contract, to the point where I don't know if he's like passively aggressively. You've got Angus Kinnear leaving one in his locker at the swimming pool with some post-it notes on it, and just go like, "Hey, whenever you're ready, Marcelo." And then he gets to his regular table at the canteen, because I assume he has a seat, and it's just there on the table.
I was saying to my dad yesterday that it's very different, because last season, in the build-up to the Liverpool game, people were going, "Oh, I really want," me included, to be honest. And I wouldn't say I was worried, but I was going, "I wish you'd just sign this contract so it's done." And there were people genuinely panicking before that Liverpool game last season. This year, even though he has again signed it a couple of days before the first game, like left it to the absolute last second, I didn't see a single Leeds fan worrying about it.
No, and I suppose you're kind of used to it in a strange way, despite the fact it is. I don't know anyone else that conducts business like he does in this regard. But you have that trust as a man who is going off to watch the youth teams play and is clearly always doing something. It's not as if he's disappeared on holiday for 2 weeks in the midst of all this, where you go, "Oh, I wonder where he's gone on holiday. I wonder if he's gone to Spain. Oh, I wonder if he's looking at a job over there." Or like, he's just like, "No, you know what? I've been checking the average temperature of the swimming pool every day at 1:00, and that's once I've done my research there, then we might get to the contract."
Yeah, it just seems to be. I suppose he is different to everyone else, but we're used to it now, and I hope he stays forever. Someone who's signed a contract that means that they're going to stay for nearly forever until we sell him to PSG next summer for £500 million. Ilham Meslier has signed a new 5-year deal at Leeds.
That was great, Dan. Obviously, it will have been going on longer than this, but it's quite nice going from getting the notification on The Athletic last night to a deal is done.
Yeah, it did come very quickly, didn't it? Because obviously we knew they were in talks with a fair few of them, like Bamford's is pretty much going to happen by the sounds of it. There's a couple of others that they're in talks with. I'm assuming they're in talks with Phillips over a new one, even though he's got 3 years left. But the Meslier one, it seemed to be very quick. And it's a really negative way for me to think about it, but it's true, unfortunately. This is a bit of a protect your asset one, because I just think he's that good that someone is going to pay an ugin of money for him in the next couple of years.
Yeah, it's just kind of the nature of the beast at the moment, that if we're not in a competitive position in Europe, by the time 2 years rolls around, you've got a 23 or 24-year-old goalkeeper who will have then had 3 years of first-team football in the Premier League under his belt, and it is going to be a commodity to someone. I think it would make a great addition to PSG's bench. Because I love Ilham Meslier, but you can't be that age and go, "I'm going to go there and compete with Donnarumma, who is, the same age as me."
And I always remember that Donnarumma didn't play last night in the first game for PSG. They played Navas. Yeah, it's their squad is mental, but I'm really glad we've got him tied down. I think obviously he's not perfect, none of them are, but he's a really, really good young keeper, and he's only going to get better for the next few years. And I'm kind of glad that when he decided to have his massive bollocks up, it was in a pre-season game.
Yeah, I mean, again, we're in that fortunate position now where the pressure is off, that we don't have to win every game. And yeah, as a goalkeeper, you're going to have mistakes looked at, but all goalkeepers make mistakes anyway, regardless of how old he is. But you look at some of the saves he made, and his decision making's very good. He's so agile. He's got the bassy tones of Barry White and the extended limbs of Mr. Tickle. It's everything you could ever want in a goalkeeper.
Yeah, I mean, his voice has been known to result in pregnancy just from an interview. It's ridiculous, his voice. It could tell me anything, and I'd just look up at him and just think, God, you're handsome. And it's not actually about what he looks like. It's just the voice.
He's so fresh. It's the fact that he's so fresh face.
Yeah.
It's like
no one out there is going to get this reference, but he sounds like Loki. Not Loki. Low key.
Yeah. I was going to say he's like that kid you never actually see in Scrubs who's got the ridiculously deep voice. He's like, my mama said you got lollipops. And everyone's like, what?
KSA, I don't think you should be doing that voice.
It's fine. I think it's only implied the race of that child.
But yeah, obviously glad to have him turned down. And I believe, as it goes, I've still got it open in a tab. So one of our things to predict to us who will be the first new international cap at Leeds United. You said Bamford, I said Klaassen. So Rafinha's been called up by Brazil.
and we even spoke about him because I think you even said he's definitely making a squad this season.
Yeah.
I think I assume that part of the thinking is that Brazil have just come from a Copa America and the Olympics, so now this first international break for them might be a good time to try a couple of different players.
Yeah, and also they've got to play. It's not 2 games; it's 3 games. So there'll probably be a bit of rotation as well. And Cheech was very complimentary about him in his press conference and stuff. And the way he spoke about him makes people think he's going to play at least one of them.
Yeah, I mean, based off last season, he does deserve a go at least.
Yeah, massively pleased for him. Just don't get injured.
Yeah.
And it sounds like with the way the games are, because it's 3 of them, he'll be really pushing it in terms of getting back for the Liverpool game. Because for games on a Sunday,
Costa, so it's fine.
Yeah, because for games on a Sunday, it might be all right. But I suppose, they're gonna they'll be missing Firmino as well, won't they? So just one piece, and Alisson as well. But for a keeper, I don't think it matters as much. So it sounds from the way you were talking before that you're a lot more confident about this game than I am. I
don't have confidence, the word. It's more, I'm more nonplussed about it at the moment. Obviously I'm thrilled to be going. I'm really excited to be back at a proper game in a proper crowd. But my position is still very similar to last season. And I think, we both made our predictions as to where Leeds are going to finish. I don't think we're both thinking if we got the same as last season, that good season again. So I think I can still keep that mindset of, well, we're going to win some and we're going to lose some this season. That's just how it is for mid-table. Yeah. Anything less than 6-2, big thumbs up.
Well, I must admit, although I am a pessimist, I do have it down in my head as less than 6-2. It's been a bit weird. I did briefly look at some of Scum's pre-season stuff. And it does appear that it still will be 4-2-3-1. They've had a couple of little flirts with other things, but it looks as if it's going to be 4-2-3-1 as it was last season. Last time, they had Fred and McTominay in middle, and McTominay Fernandes just dragged Phillips off to the side, left a huge hole in the middle, and McTominay ran into it all day. And we just couldn't cope with it. In the home game, Dallas was in there, so he did that sort of zonal role where he isn't man-marking the whole time, and he's able to kind of cover it. So I'm desperately hoping that we play Click and Dallas in this game. Because I can't. I am all right with. I think Rodrigo's a really good player, but it's just not the game for him this at all.
No, it's one of those. It's that thing now of now that you've seen what can happen, and that is the worst that can happen. Essentially, that is the scary side of it. That you've actually seen that it's not just a threat; it is, 198 potential Scott McTominay bursting through midfield. My thinking at the moment is, obviously you said Bruno Fernandes, pulling Phillips out of position. Can't pull him out of position if you don't play Calvin Phillips, though.
Yeah, point at head, smart like wrestler.
Yeah.
I don't think Phillips is going to start this game. We know what Bielsa's like with match fitness. And even if he's worked his bollocks off all week, I think that Bielsa will have had him running into everything, and Phillips will have done everything asked of him. And then Bielsa will go, "You're on the bench. I don't think you're match fit." And I think we'll play Robin Koch.
The only reason I give it, I'd say, to be honest, I'd go 50-50. It's purely because, and I know this, this is a different set of circumstances. Whenever he's been injured, he comes straight back in. No one else does that. They normally have to have those 23s games. Calvin Phillips does typically
I think
get straight back in the team.
I think one of the times last season when he came back, he was on the bench for first game. One out of sort of 3 or 4 times where he had to drop out and miss a game.
Yeah.
But to be honest, I'm not 100% sure. I can't really remember. And I also think that a lot of this comes down to, because they've said in the press conference, Firpo is fit. Does he start, though? Because, he does for me, because I want Dallas in midfield. But if he doesn't play, that puts Dallas at left back. And that changes a lot.
Yeah, I very much agree with you that I would like to see the Dallas Click partnership as something a bit more solid in there. And then maybe Rodrigo is the option with half an hour left, either as a striker or as the number 10. But I would like to see Firpo. This is the problem with our transfer activity so far, is that obviously we've got Firpo in, and Firpo is on paper so far an excellent signing. But now we've sent all the other left backs away. And so there's him and Dallas, and I kind of want Dallas to be occupied elsewhere.
Yeah, it's an odd one. Obviously, first game of season always feels a bit weird. Like, I've seen a few rumblings, and Phillips has played a couple of pre-season games where he's been further forward. Like, a few people saying it wouldn't shock them if both Koch and Phillips were in midfield.
I was thinking about this the other day as to whether, I'm not saying that Bielsa will have watched the England games and be like, I didn't know he could do this. Yeah. Obviously, he's aware he's the greatest manager in the world. But I wonder if after watching that run of performances, it does, and kind of having an eye on what happened at Old Trafford last time, if it does make him think, well, this is probably the more solid base, where you've got Koch in there, you've got Phillips who has the legs for that role. It probably takes a bit of pressure off Click as well to have 2 more defensive-minded players in midfield then. And then you get Dallas playing left back and being the best player in the world.
See, for what it's worth, I don't think it's going to happen. But if we did play Koch and Phillips in midfield, I think Phillips would still be in the Phillips role and Koch could just be a centre mid. Like in that way that he did for the last 5 minutes of a few games last season.
I still think Llorente would be the best option for that, given his playing style at the back.
Yeah,
not as the holding mid, as the centre mid.
Yeah, like the principle of Belushi might have been a better player if you'd have just played him at 10.
Yeah,
he'd have still been an arsehole, but he wouldn't have cost us as many goals.
Yeah.
No, but I was like, Llorente is the one that's definitely missing. They also said that Shackleton's fit, and I know that he got the knock to the head, but because he was so impressive in pre-season, it has made me wonder if that's what, because if Cox playing DM and Llorente is out, we're probably not going to play Strauch and Cooper. So
here comes the reshuffle on the opening day.
Because I've got that feeling that Phillips isn't going to start, because Cox plays either way. He either plays DM or he plays right centre back with Llorente being out. I've got this feeling that it'll be a back four: Shaq, Ayling, Strauch, Dallas, which isn't really what I'd want it to be, but that's what I think it's going to end up being.
I'll be interested to see whether opening day, if we do move back to Cooper, or if it's Strauch that's preferred. I was just trying to think when you first said that, because I'm pretty sure when we finished the game at Old Trafford, it was a back four of Shackleton, Ayling, Cooper, and Davis.
Yeah.
Which, when you're just looking at something, how is this?
Yeah. Nil. How does this say Manchester United nil?
Yeah, I suppose it's that thing of with the number of players we've had away, and obviously having a couple of knocks to work around as well. It does make it intriguing going into this one with certainly defensive. I know for us in terms of central midfield, we still don't really have that depth to where outside of thinking will Rodrigo start or not, that it kind of fills itself otherwise. I think the good bit of news that I've heard from what I've read today is that on the other side of things is that it looks unlikely that Sancho will play.
It definitely. Well, it looks unlikely that he'll start. It sounds like he'll be in squad.
Oh yeah.
And Varane won't be playing because the deal isn't done yet, and it would have had to be done officially and announced by midday today.
I'm trying to remember which journalist it was I saw. It must have been last week that seemed very confident that Sancho would be starting this one, but he's not played a pre-season friendly for them. I don't think he's certainly not started one.
No, apparently he got ill after his break. They didn't say COVID, so I doubt it was, because they'd have probably just been honest about it at this stage. But he's only been back in training like this week. Now he's young and fit, and he won't have lost too much because he went to Euros, etc. But they probably won't start him. There's a few places with Leeds that pick themselves. Obviously, we've talked about the defence a lot, so we'll leave that for now. The midfield is the bit that you can't be sure on, because Meslier will be in goal, Bamford will be up front, Rafinha will be on the right, Harrison will be on the left. Like, that bit is all picking itself, but the middle is my real worry. It's not just like I don't fancy Rodrigo and so I want Click and Dallas. Like, if Dallas has to play left back, I genuinely, because I think he's got a bit more discipline to him, I would rather have Click and Roberts than Click and Rodrigo for this game. Even though I do think Rodrigo's a better footballer.
Yeah, the one thing that does fill me with confidence for Rodrigo is that, one, he now will have had a decent length pre-season at least, and secondly, that you will have probably had more dedicated time to preparing for this game and what he would have to do in that role than you typically do the rest of the season.
Yeah, and I suppose they would learn from the mistakes of last season, you would hope. Because
that mistake being, sorry, was I meant to follow him?
Yeah.
Oh, he's gone. He scored. Sorry, boys.
He scored again. I'm not 100% sure what Scum's team's going to be. Like, De Gea will be in goal because Dean Henderson's been really struggling with COVID, hasn't he, for weeks? So probably Wan-Bissaka, Maguire, Lindelof, Luke Shaw as a back four because Varane won't be there. I mean, I think you can get a Lindelof. I've never really fancied him. Because of how it went last season, you'd have to assume Fred and McTominay. And then it's a bit less sure because Cavani's unavailable, isn't he? Because he's only just got back from Copa America. Rashford's injured. So, like, do you think they'll do that thing where they play Pogba off the left and have Fernandes at 10? And then, do you reckon they'll stick, like, Greenwood or James on the right wing?
My thinking would have been Greenwood.
Yeah, well, and then Martial up front.
Yeah. Which isn't the worst thing for us that Martial's up front.
Yeah, I was going to say a similar thing, but I didn't want to say that and then have him score a hat-trick. Because he's got plenty of ability.
I'll say it for you.
Yeah, but like of their options, he's the one that isn't as strong, you'd say. I do wonder, just because of the way we play and, you know, you press high, leave room in behind, it wouldn't shock me if he just plays Greenwood and Dan James on the wings and just drops Pogba for this.
Yeah, I mean, I was saying to Alex when we did Sandy Ground last night, it'll be interesting to see how Pogba gets used by them this season, with now that Sancho's in as well, and kind of, because obviously he gets shuffled around whenever it's they're going to play more defensively, which seems a ridiculous thing to do for someone who you paid, you know, £90 million for, and is deemed to be one of the best players in the world, to then go, yeah, but you know, we might be under the cosh a bit today, so I'm going to put you on the wing. He's still important, though. He's still important. You're on the wing.
It's one of the, if PSG hadn't already spent all the money in the world, I would have thought they'd be signing him because his contract's up end of season. And you would think that, as hilarious as it would be, you'd think Man United won't want to lose him for basically free for a second time.
God, that'd be hilarious.
Because what was it, about 800 grand that he went to Juve for?
Yeah, he was 18 and 19 then, wasn't he? Yeah. And just, no, you've not played me, I'm leaving.
In fairness, they played Johnny Evans in midfield ahead of him or something daft. I think it was actually completely fair enough for him to tell him to stick it up his ass. I'm hoping that instead of Fred and McTominay, I'm hoping Matic plays instead of one of them, because I think he is less likely to break forward through the lines, and then our pressing not being quite as good won't matter as much. And Matic has played quite a bit in pre-season by the looks of it, and by the looks of it, Mata's played a fair bit off one of the wings. So he's another option to play wide, but I don't think that'll happen.
I suppose this has been a strange one just because of the now near endless cycle of football between the end of 2 seasons ago now, pretty much then having a short break flowing into the next season, then major international tournaments, plus those that went to the Olympics. Looking at, you know, pre-season starting lineups, there've not really been much of an indication for what you would expect a team to be fielding for the majority of the season. Just because I think there's just been so many players that have been had to be rested. I know, listening to, I think it was the Phil Hay show, that said the PFA had brought in a rule now where players have to have a certain amount of holiday. Don't know, so I don't know if that's been something that's kind of affected a few of them where. Oh,
because what somebody please think of the poor Premier League players.
I know, but I just wonder if it's a case of like whereas in normally you would have footballers you'd have some footballers anyway who would dive straight back into pre-season, and Pontus Jansson is like, you know what, I'm going to take these 14 days. The selfish bastard. But yeah, so I wonder if, you know, the footballers having to have that extra bit of time off has kind of affected a few plans that way.
Speaking of Pontus Jansson, he is starting in the middle of a back three for Brentford.
I am happy for him.
Oh, I am as well.
In an alternative universe, we're challenging for the Premier League with Ben White and Pontus Jansson as our centre backs.
Yeah, I'm sure everyone will be watching that later. I said I can't. There's a thing about basically. There's a couple of not so much now that it's Nuno, but I said Mourinho's Spurs. That's a really bad matchup for us, and Man United are another one that are like that. Just the threat that they have up front and the way we play kind of plays into their hands a bit. And I wouldn't trade it. I like the way we play, and it's one of those things. But I would prefer that we play a bit more second half of season Leeds than first half of season Leeds, where we're not quite as gung-ho with the pressing for this one. But in pre-season, even when it hasn't worked at all, we seem to have been pretty gung-ho about the pressing.
Yeah.
So
there is just that thing. And obviously, again, I totally agree with you and 99% of other people that in Marcelo we trust. He is the best. He's the best thing that's happened to us in decades. But every now and again, there's part you go, could we not just be a little pragmatic about this? Just a little, please.
Yeah, just a teeny bit. No.
Listen, I know he has some sort of qualities, but no, don't put Jamie Shackleton at centre back. I know he probably had a really good game in training or something, but come on.
I must admit, it would never happen, but I'd love to see Shackleton as one of the eights for this game. But it's not going to happen because even his good pre-season minutes were all at right back.
That's why I included that likely, unlikely.
Yeah,
Will he start a game at centre mid?
I think the problem with Shackleton is, you don't love me, you love the idea of me. I think Shackleton in centre midfield in the Premier League is a bit like that with me. In principle, great engine, gets it down, local lad, came through the academy, all of that. I just think, yeah, play him. But every time he gets a run, he gets injured. And it's just unfortunate, especially this one in pre-season. He really impressed everyone. I'd say that the two names that were on the highest upward trajectory in pre-season, because Strauch was already high and he had a good pre-season. But I'd say it was Shackleton and Somerville.
Mm.
And then that just concussion, because he won't also, he'll have been training a bit, but he won't have been able to do full training either.
Bless him. Because he's, like you say, he's one of those that you're just willing to do well. And who knows? So, at this point, he might have kind of gone in with, okay, I'm a right back now.
Yeah.
That's my lot. And maybe, maybe long term, he will try and be the replacement for Luke Ayling when Luke Ayling's 37 and is finally thinking, all right,
yeah,
this is it now.
Yeah, just after he gets his first England cap.
Yes. After all the other ones have retired or got injured.
Yeah. So, obviously, this one we said isn't going to be a long one. All we really have is the predictions, but there's a couple of other things I was going to add. The bench, do you think Somerville's on it?
We are at 9 subs.
There's 9 subs, and I can't see how he hasn't ousted Poveda for that fourth winger.
No, I don't think he is.
Fair enough.
Yeah, Jack, you are completely right and completely reasonable. No. I think, again, Bielsa has the players that he likes and that he knows better, probably. And I think Poveda is probably still in that category at the moment.
Right. Other ones that I was going to say, is Cody Drammer on the bench? Considering the injuries as well.
He probably should be. Because, if worst came to the worst, I'd still fancy him to do a job at left back if he had to.
Mm. And he has played there. I have seen him play there.
Yeah. You got Llorente out. Shackleton is fit. I'm going to say yeah.
Yeah. And the the final one of these that I had in my head, because I think Gelhardt's still injured. So I think so. There's two more. Greenwood's been involved all pre-season. Do you think he makes the bench?
It would make sense in terms of. To be honest, I don't because I don't think Bielsa really looks at Rodrigo as our striker. I think he's so set on him in this 10 role at the moment, still. And I think that's probably where he sees Greenwood as well.
You see, I don't think Greenwood does because Rodrigo is there and Roberts is there.
Yeah.
So even though it's moving people around...
I forgot about Tyler Robertson. You've mentioned him already.
Yeah, Sorry,
Tyler.
Yeah, if there's an injury to Bamford, please don't let there be an injury to Bamford or something. But if there is, I think he'd rather move a few things around and push them up. And the last one, and by far the most interesting one, Forshaw.
I'd love it. I'd love it, but I don't think it's going to happen yet.
No. But Forshaw against Crew.
Oh, I'd love that.
That's got...
Captain Adam.
Even if he's not ready, it should be Captain Adam Forshaw for that game.
Can that be like the palate cleanser after Captain Kiko last year?
Yeah. Or did you have to bring that up?
Sorry.
We've finally got him to fuck off. Yeah, so the last thing, we have changed the rules slightly. It's 2 points for a correct result and 10 points for a correct score, because I realised if I was doing it actual odds, there's not enough difference between them before there is now. And Casey seems to be better at this bit than me, and after the massive hammering he got last season, he could do with the points. So, trip to Scum, what do you reckon?
I'm gonna be optimistic in as much as I'm gonna treat it like the start of a major tournament and say that they're going to go out to not want to lose. So I'm going to say we get a 1-1 draw.
That would be great. I'd
love to just have something to celebrate. Obviously, the first time going.
Yeah, the way that I don't think you can read loads into pre-season. We've just looked so open that even if we are much better, I still think we'll be too open for this game. So, unfortunately, I'm going to go for us getting beat 3-1. I really, really, really hope that doesn't happen, but I just don't think we'll get a result in this one. At the moment, I do think we'll get a result against Everton, though, at home. But we'll come on to that later. Is there anything else that we need to talk about before we both individually get sat down to watch Brentford v Arsenal?
No, just quite content. I was just trying to think which kit will be in, but I assume will be. See, with the away kit now, we can do my favourite thing of wearing the home kit, but wear the blue shorts. That'd be magic.
What, the 4-4 at Goodison Park style?
Yeah, that's what I want. That's all I wanted when we don't need an away kit. We just need extra pairs, like extra coloured shorts, and we're fine.
Yeah. Well, hopefully we can get a result, but this is the one problem with Man United being the first game. Otherwise, if it was else, I think that I'd be able to go, oh, it's just going to be nice to be back. But because it's them, there's none of that. I would snap your hand off for a horrifically awful, rubbish game of football that finishes 0-0 right now. Even though I'm going, I'd still really enjoy it.
My counter to that is, for a team that goes through the pre-season that we do, and for a team that's probably had as many players away as Man United have, for a team that I think will be as fit as ours, it's probably quite a good time to go to a Champions League club.
Oh, it's not about football; it's about my health. Man United being first is just.
I think it's just that thing of. There's every chance still with it being the first game that you might catch them cold, and I value that. Yeah,
and the last couple of years they have started quite badly. So it'd be very nice.
And we beat Liverpool on the opening day last season. Obviously, that was a fantastic result. We beat Bristol City time before that, smashed Stoke before that. So it's pretty much nailed on win this.
Yeah, looking forward to reading back the BBC Sport report that says that, or if Rodrigo pushes Fred any further back, he'll be playing for Shakhtar Donetsk. So, that'll do us for episode 125 at Mighty White's podcast. There's various 1 to 20 predictions for the leagues up on Through It All Together, which is on Twitter at THRU, it's all LUFC. You may as well read them now, just because then you can start laughing at us when we're already wrong after 4 weeks, which we might be. Pretty much everyone has said Southampton will be shite, so they're probably going to get in Europe or something, because that's just the way it works.
No. I will say I have seen quite a few Southampton fans that have basically started slagging Vestergaard off, saying he's not all that, and I was like, well...
He's not that quick. He's not quick, but he's
not
decent.
He's not quick, but who else have you got?
Yeah. Jack Stevens, who might not still be there. I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah. Obviously, I'll just put this up because we are about to finish, but Ali's saying with Cop playing in Calvin's position, I wonder whether he'll play alongside. Well, let's say we're on about that earlier. I don't rule it out as a possibility. But we'll leave it there. We'll probably back, I don't know, Monday or Tuesday, one of them. We might be back earlier if it's gone really well, because we might just really want to talk about it. But follow us on Twitter at Mighty Whites Pod, and that'll do us. So I've been Jack, see ya.
I've been KC.